Okay, so today we're talking about products. What it is that you need to do in order to communicate your learning of whatever new learning you are addressing in a way where anybody that hears your communication of your new learning says, yeah, that guy seems to know what they're talking about. So there's a lot here in these videos, and I know it's going to take a long time to shift your thinking towards being able to take ownership of your learning in order to do it in such a way where you can coach other students and children in taking their time and taking their ownership and not demanding that they learn what we tell them to learn, how they need to learn, and instead allow them the time to reflect and talk to you about how they're learning and what works and what doesn't. That's really important. If you've found all the information you need and you're able to talk about what you've learned about your specific SMART goal, and you can work on creating a product that is written or verbal or both, uh, you know, about what your academic goal is, what it is, how it works, how it connects to other learning goals, why it's important in order to move forward with your learning. The idea here is all of the different tasks, all the different things that you did in order to learn, those were all products, right? And we can call those formative. That's a fancy word for all of the things you did to learn, right? So in order to learn, you had to create all of these different products. And maybe in order to create products to learn or for learning, maybe it was practicing writing a paragraphs, right? So maybe you had to write paragraphs. Maybe you had to exercise different worksheets, solve practice problems, create quizzes, and then have other people try and solve them, and then give them an answer key that maybe sort of proves that, yeah, you know it so well that you can test somebody else and tell them if they understand it. Whether it's language arts, math, history, science, maybe even just doing little informal videos that kind of communicate to people where you can have an open forum about what it is that you're doing and talking about and learning and all of these different ways of learning and creating all these different products in the process of learning. What does it look like when you've totally mastered a skill or a standard or a goal and you want to produce something that celebrates that? Well, that's when you're talking about summative, right? A summative assessment or product is something that kind of says the goal was this, and even though I did little products and projects of different parts of that goal, I now want to create something that reflects the whole of that goal. So if it was working out and you were succeeding in different exercises and different routines, now you're going to do something that shows that you can really do it. You've gotten so strong that you can lift a maximum amount that you were working towards. So a summative goal, a product, maybe it's an essay, right? Detailing all the evidence and reasoning in a way that was expected of you, right? Or that you were expecting of yourself in order to be able to analyze certain texts, certain stories. Maybe it's a PowerPoint. Maybe it's a metaphorical representation on a graffiti wall. Or you are now ready to interview someone with all of the background information you need in order to access all the information of a person. You can produce a song, record it, film it, perform it, or a tableau. Tableau is a fun one where maybe you and a group create physically a still image by everyone being something and part of the image. It's a really fun thing. Similarly, you can produce a comic strip that sort of has a fun way of representing all of the learning of a particular skill. You can act it out, you can teach a lesson, all of these different ways to create products. as long as, and this is where I really want to make sure that we're clear on this, the goal of being a self-directed learning is being able to identify when you're proficient at something. Because you can say, yeah, I wrote an essay, and somebody else saying, you need to rewrite that a little bit. I'm not sure why. I just think it's being able to define proficient. Okay, as you get to a point where you're starting to be able to communicate with other people about different ideas, different new learning, knowing what's good enough is definitely one of the things that makes self-directed learning so challenging, because you don't have someone saying, do it this way and that's going to be good enough. You are going to have to learn what is good enough based on what it is you're trying to learn. If you're trying to write and evaluate expressions, that's going to be proficient, actually writing and evaluating them. If writing a 5-paragraph essay about a particular literature, a particular book, or sort of providing a commentary on a historical event, whatever the verb demanding that you are able to identify or explain or analyze, whatever the verb is, make sure that the context in which you're using that verb, if you're asked to analyze, make sure that you understand how deep, let's say, the depth of proficiency, okay, has enough detail and support and rationale that proves with several examples, if you have to explain something or if you have to analyze something with enough charts and graphs or proof and evidence, depending on the topic, making sure that the context, the depth of that proficiency is enough support that you come across as somebody who really does understand the information, and not just really good at writing essays, but that you actually are proficient in the topic that you're writing about. So as you get into products, it's not a matter of creating the product, it's a matter of choosing a product that reflects what you have learned. So that's something that as you start to understand the purpose of it, it's not to receive a grade. The grade's arbitrary. The grade should only affirm the learning that you can go to anybody and communicate. So as you take that idea and start to coach students and children on reflecting for themselves whether or not they are able to do the very specific thing that they were already talking about doing as part of their goal when they started to brainstorm, and they started to set goals. And they knew that they had to define and write and evaluate because that's what it said in the standard. Being able to do exactly that is going to require some communication. You're going to have to present this product to somebody and really talk about what may strengthen that skill. And then maybe moving that towards the next skill in the next grade level or something related, and really start building on it. Knowing that the product doesn't mean you're done. The product means you're ready to build on that learning. Okay? Again, the product doesn't mean you're done. The product means you're ready to build on top of that learning. So that's really another really big idea for anybody who's seeking to develop or become a self-directed learner.